Happy Sunday, YouTube family, and happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Today is the day that I'm going to bring you the all retic review. I know a lot of my followers have been waiting on that, and let me just give you the warning now. Doing a review of 8 retics in one video is going to be very trying because unlike other snakes, they do not stay still. I probably have a couple who will be 100% participant into this video. The other was going to be constantly on the move. So we're going to do the best we can to make sure that you guys can get a good visual and shot of each retic today. However, I will definitely give you the information on their behavior, their morph, and what breeder I purchased each one of them from. Stay tuned. Guys, this is T'Challa, and she is my motley golden child, Sunfire. And T'Challa is one of the ones I was talking about in the beginning. She's not going to stay still, and guys, she's really heavy. The camera doesn't show you how big she really is, honestly. Right now, she's wrapped around my legs, my waist, and I have her here for comfort. But she's a big girl. But this was my very first retic. I'm going to put in a clip of her when she was a baby. And I held her for the first time with the help of my mentor, Randy. He actually came over through a video call, through Messenger, as I held her for the first time. Her being my very first retic, I wasn't sure how to really read her, and then I would say once I mastered T'Challa's personality, it made it so much easier for all the other retics. And like I said, guys, I'm gonna be sweating in this video trying to hold one of these babies at their full weight. Is crazy, it's insane. So right now she's being a little helpful because she's put part of her body on the table for me. Hi, sweetie. Thank you. And we woke her up to do this video, so she's doing really, really good. You will hear her breathing. That is a retic normal breath. As once they get to a certain size, like the size she is, it's them expelling air from their lungs. Some people mistake that for hissing, and if you don't really understand a retic, it can definitely kind of make you a little nervous. It's not a hiss at all, it's just her breathing. Even the smaller ones, when they're out and they're doing a lot of exercising, that's how I normally know that they're tired. You start to hear them expel air a little bit more. But yeah, guys, that's T'Challa. Say hi, T'Challa. Say hi. All right, so we're gonna let her get down, get a little bit of exercise on the floor, and move to the next one. I'm gonna try to give these to you in the order. Look at her. In the order in which I purchased them. And as you can see, she's definitely, let me see if I can lift her up a little bit more. She's definitely one that you need 2 people to hold when they talk about safety. And the reason, you'll see me never put my retics, except for the younger ones, around my neck. A retic this size, as you can see, yeah, this is really weight. I don't lift weights, I lift retics, that's for real, y'all. But a retic this size, honestly, by accident being around your neck and they try to hold on because they think they're falling, will definitely injure someone badly or take you out of here. And that's unintentional. It's not that the snake is mean or the snake is defensive or aggressive at all. This is a very friendly snake. T'Challa is very manageable. Very fun to handle, very fun to let come out, but the reality of it is that she's muscle. That's all muscle. And if she's trying to hold on, your neck cannot take that one little of muscle from a retic, and that's the reality. So I believe in making sure that you follow that protocol if you're going to be lifting them. Now, the fortunate thing is I don't have to lift a lot of my retics. Like T'Challa, if I was taking her out to get exercise, I would literally take her and open her door and let her come out on her own, and she'll go down on the floor and about her business. I might have to redirect her every now and then because I don't want her to knock stuff down, because they will knock all your stuff over. And I don't want her to hurt herself. But that's it. That's the reasoning. It's not that the snake at all is a quote-unquote bad snake. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next one. Okay, guys, we're not gonna keep him out long because he's in deep shed right now. And this is Jefe, and Jefe is my second reticulated python, the Motley Mochino, and he's only a 1 month difference from Chala. Both of them would be 3 years old this year. Or Chala actually turned 3 in April, and Jefe would have been 3 in May. Yeah. So we're trying to be very delicate with him because he's in deep shed, and we don't normally bother the snakes in shed, but they're fine. You know, they know it's us. So I will take them out for the video, but I won't keep them out long. His eyes is totally blue right now, if you can see. But he's a sweet boy all the time. Just choose not to be bothered too much in shed, and understandably so. So that's the Motley Mochino, and he's so big, my son is literally still holding part of the other half of his body. So I'm gonna lift him up just a little bit to give y'all some idea of his girth and how heavy he is. And that's heavy for me even with Michael holding. So he's another one that we follow the protocol with. If I have to lift him, it is never by myself, or somebody else has to be in the house. But if he is coming out like Chala on the floor, just to roam, I'll let him out if we're alone. I'm okay with that. Reticulated python is not just going to come out and charge you, or let me say, not mine, right? I spend a lot of time with them as smaller babies. That lets them know it's me, to make them feel comfortable. The whole protocol I follow is for safety reasons, so accidents don't happen. Not that the snake itself intends to harm anybody. So I want to clarify that. It's a big snake, and mistakes can happen just with the snake trying to naturally be what it is, a snake. He would not bite me, even in shed, as you can see, and even in deep shed. We literally had to wake him up to do this video. And that is the most sensitive time for a reticulated python, when they're not thinking. So if you're going in and you're waking up a retic, you want to take a little bit more time with them, opposed to when they see you coming, they know it's you, they sense it's you. You want to take a little bit more time with them to get them to make sure that they alert and they're thinking. And how do I know that? So just now we woke them up. A retic will bump you if they don't want to really be bothered. But that bump, again, is more like a ball python who may hiss and shed but has no intent to bite, right? So we know how to read him. So once I get the bump on the bigger retics, and sometimes, like with T'Challa, the first one you saw, if she bumps twice, if I wasn't doing a video, for example, and she bumps twice or 3 times, it just tells me she don't want to be bothered. And normally I wouldn't bother. The same thing for the Motley Mochino. I took him out anyway because we wanted to hit this video. We wanted him to be a part of the clip. And like I said, I was going to keep him out long. I was going to take him out enough so you guys can see him and let him go in, because he's in 100% complete shed. With a albino retic, it's hard to see that they're in shed. I know them, so I can tell his color is different, and his eyes, if you guys could see, were completely cloudy. That's how you can typically tell with albino compared to some of the other ones. So again, that was my male retic. That was Jefe, which is boss in Spanish. And he is my Motley Mochino. Both T'Challa and Jefe are from Jim Jolly. Any reticulated python I've ever purchased from Jim Jolly came to me 100% manageable. Not a challenge at all. Not a challenge, and I'm glad that my first 2 retics came from him. Well, my first 3 retics came from him. Maybe the first 4. I don't know. As I go through them, I'll let you know. But I know 5 or 6 retics are definitely from Jim Jolly. So stay tuned. Okay, guys. So you know this is one of my favorite babies. Also from Jim Jolly. This one I actually, although he is as long as the other ones, his girth is not as big, so I can still actually hold him and lift him by myself, and he's actually still manageable by myself, unlike the first 2 that you saw. So this is the Tiger Pod 100% het albino reticulated python, and his name is Mystical. Now I named him Mystical because everybody told me that when I got this Tiger Pod, he would be the worst retic in temperament. Totally opposite. He has been a doll baby since day 1. So I named him Mystical because I was thinking of the song Danger. Nah, not at all. He is the one, if you look at previous videos, like actually in the video I do with, to show you how to handle a retic without a hook, he was the very first retic that I could handle without ever turning off the feed response. He's an active boy. Get from under there. Very active, spoiled. If I walk into this room, he'll actually try to come out and will give you the indication that he wants to come through the cage, out the cage. But a very, very perfect pod. Totally not what I thought he would be, and totally not what others expect him to be. I always get comments on his temperament and how calm he is, but honestly he was like this when I got him at 4 months old from Jim Jolly. And that's Mystical. That's the Tiger Pod 100% het albino reticulated python, and he's a good boy. Okay guys, so this one is one of my females from Jim Jolly, and this is my Motley Tiger 100% het purple, and her name is Moana. She was named by my grandkids, of course, who loves the movie Moana. This is one of my favorite far as pattern. You guys, I don't know if the camera shows it, she actually looks green and white with some golds in her, and she freshly shedded, so you're going to see that blonde head stamp really good. And as you can see, she's still at a size that I can lift myself. Although she's very active, I can still like lift her. So I don't need no assistance really with her. And she is one that 95% of the time, if she's already awake, you don't need to hook her. She will figure it out on her own. But she is definitely flighty right now and probably hungry. I'm going to feed you. So yeah, that's Moana. Stay tuned. This is Maui, my lavender sun tiger, and he is also from Jim Jolly. He is on the light. Like this is what he does. As you can see, Maui is kind of wrapped around me, but not really. So he's crossed around the back of my neck, but not red. So even though he's not as huge as T'Challa, Jefe, and Mystical, I still do not put him around my neck. And again, it's all about conditioning them to do what you want them to do when they get bigger. So me holding him like this is what he'll get used to. I can still, if I need to, pull him around. I can still maneuver his body and everything in the position that he's in. And as you can see, when he came back up, he kind of went back around and not crossed around my neck, because that's what I kind of conditioned him to do. So again, once he gets the size of the first three you saw, or closer to that size, you'll never even see me hold him like this. Here, he's still manageable. I can still, even though right now he's trying to hold himself up because he thinks he's falling, he's not squeezing. He's kind of like, you can't see, wrapped around my waist right now. But yeah, it's all about teaching them when they're young what you want them to be conditioned to do when they're older. And it takes a lot of handling sessions to make them like you see mine, to be honest. But I enjoy handling them. These are my favorite animals to deal with on a daily basis. Next to my Asian water monitor. I love my retics. So yeah, so that's Maui. Maui and Moana are just over 2 years old. So they are a year younger than the first three that you saw. So it kind of gives you some idea of the size differential of how they grow. A year later from now, they'll be as big as T'Challa, Jefe, and Mystical. So I enjoy these moments where I can still hold them, manage them, squeeze on them, and love on them without any assistance to actually hold them up or, you know, on me. But that's Maui. Stay tuned. Next up is one of my favorites too. Okay guys, so as you heard me say, this is one of my favorites for several reasons. Number one, she is a unique, wonderful, beautiful golden child cow retic. And she is from Nerd. Kevin actually helped me pick her out specifically. And this is my Star. Star just turned, will be 2 in July. Now, the Golden Child gene, whether it's in my Motley Golden Child son or in this Golden Child cow, I noticed that these are, as babies, a little bit more reactive than some other retics. Even though this snake is smaller bodied, she's very, very, very strong. She's going under the table. I'm not going to pull her back. She's very, very strong. You guys see her a lot because she does like to be handled a lot. And she loves to explore. So that was Star. Star is just going about her business right now. Oh, actually she's coming back. She decided to come back. Come on, Star baby. Come on. Come on, Star baby. I want the people to see your beautiful eyes. Okay? Come here. So I just want you guys to see her eyes. Her eyes is how you can tell the difference between a regular cow and a golden child cow for the most part. If she lets you guys see. Really, Star? She's a brat. Let the people see your eyes. So there you go. Get a little closer to the camera. Like you're just not gonna go to the camera. Now you guys, this is also the snake, if you can remember in an earlier video, who one day broke her tooth. And I literally had to pull her tooth before taking her to the vet. And the vet was very impressed with how great of a job I did, but I also took her to the vet to make sure she had the appropriate antibiotics, which really he didn't think she even needed it. I more or less wanted it just to be secure and sure because I love this baby and I didn't want any chances of anything happening to her. She has a very intense food strike, and like I said, even though she's small bodied, she has that GC in her and she's strong. She's definitely strong. So that's Star. We ain't messing with her no more today. She's just doing her own little thing, and we'll go on to the next one. Stay tuned. Okay. All right guys, so this is retic number 7, and she is my purple Sunfire, and her name is Aaliyah. And Aaliyah was purchased from Matthew Oakley, who she came in a clutch of April of last year, so she just turned 1 in April, but she came in a beautiful clutch of retics, and I was so happy to get her. And she's a beautiful purple Sunfire. A lot of people get the Sunfire mixed up with the Sun Tiger. If you remember seeing Maui a little earlier, Maui had way more white in him, and he was a lavender. This girl actually, and you can't really see it, I'm sure on this camera, has purples in her. And definitely a different pattern than the Sun Tiger. I get why people get them mixed up because at a glance they look like they're just both the same type of albino, but nah, this girl is really, really beautiful. And again, she's purple Sunfire. She just ate the day before yesterday. Really good eater since day 1. And another one who had a really good temperament. But this is the only snake that ever bit me in my 32 years of keeping. And it was an accident. It was Christmas Eve, I think, or Christmas or New Year's Eve. I think it was Christmas Eve, and my son was holding her while we was cleaning out her enclosure, and I accidentally hit her face, and she definitely bit my finger. Didn't hurt at all. In fact, she actually seemed very sympathetic about it, like, oh, I didn't mean it. And then, you know, I was able to pick up right away. Like, she turned it off instantly when she realized it was just me. And those are mistakes that can happen with reticulated pythons. But again, as you can see, she's a baby, well, a younger retic, just 1 year old. I got her at 2 months old. She was actually one of the youngest retics I ever took in. My other ones were 4 months old when I got them. And what are you doing, Mama? So one of the things I do with them as babies, all as babies is I touch their heads. That's the one thing that you want to do for a retic. Make them not head shy at all. Because they become big retics, like the first 3 that you saw, who are not head shy, and it's very easy to handle and deal with them when they're not head shy. Especially if you ever get them in a situation where they under a sofa, something like that, or behind something that you really have to go at them at head first. Because a retic who's head shy will never let you come to their face head first. It ain't gonna happen. You are looking for war, especially with a larger retic. So I start that at a very young age. Everything. I try to make nothing unusual to them, so it's easy to handle them as adults. But there's Aaliyah, and Aaliyah is my purple Sunfire. They bite. They bite. Okay guys, this is retic number 8 and my last retic. Well, technically at 7 I said I wasn't going to get any more, but I had to get one from Slither. I'm a big fan of Samson as well in his work with reticulated pythons, so I had inadvertently ran into him at Hamburg the last time that I went, and I never saw him at Hamburg, and I think that was his first time in a long time, or his first time ever at Hamburg. And I had to get this girl, and she is a tiger het anery, 62.5% Jefe and 6.25% super dwarf kalatoa. So she's a dwarf. Anytime it's not 100% kalatoa or another dwarf, super dwarf gene, then it's a dwarf if it's mixed with any other genetics. So that's not super dwarf. So because she's tiger, everybody know that's mainland blood, het anery, and she has Jefe in her, which is a dwarf blood, and only 6.25% kalatoa, it makes her a dwarf and not a super dwarf. And this is a very young reticulated python. She can still get anywhere between 9 to 12, 9 to 14 feet because she has tiger blood in her. So a lot of times people think when it's a dwarf, it's not going to grow that big. Well, the first one I showed you, the golden child, the motley golden child son. Well, golden child is from dwarf blood. And as you can see how big T'Challa is. So it's very important to ask to see the parents when you're dealing with, I just want a retic that's not going to get too big. And someone says, well, here's a dwarf or here's a super dwarf. You want to see the parents, because the parents will give you an idea how big that snake is going to get with normal feeding anyway. So there you have it. This is still a very young retic, and this is one that, you know, we're still teaching her how to turn off her food response quickly. Dwarfs, actually, I noticed that is actually a more difficult task to turn off the food response with a dwarf and make them not nervous than it was with my mainlands. But definitely, you know, you read the body language. We know when we open her enclosure to put that hook on her right away, and typically if you do that, you can pick her up with no problem. But yeah, that's Harriet. And I'm trying to get y'all to see her eyes, because her eyes is one of the things that I love about her. I don't know if the camera's gonna catch it. There we go. There we go. There's her eyes. And actually, guys, I want y'all to see that. See how she paused and stopped flickering her tongue? As a retic handler, you want to pay attention to that, because that's a sign that something startled her or something was different in her head, and she had to go back to the thinking mode. And then when she started flicking her tongue again, then she went back to her normal behavior. Those are the things that you'll learn just from handling them. But I will say to anybody, retics to me are handleable if you have time, space, and you work with their brains constantly. If you do not, you're not going to get the relationship that I have with my retics, or anyone else that you can see who can handle their retics under any condition. You saw me handle one of the mainlands, even though he was in deep shed. Those things come from what I do right here. When she's in shed at this age, we handle her. Now, we don't want to handle her too much to stress her out, because retics have good memories, and anything that happens bad to them, they remember what and who it happened with. So I treat mine like babies. I pay attention to them. I love on them, and I give them good memories and good handling experiences. So when they get to be larger animals, that's what they remember about me or anybody else, like my son, anybody else who handles them. A couple of these retics, like T'Challa and the golden child cow and the purple Sunfire Aaliyah, they prefer my son over me. Like sometimes if T'Challa is out, and let's say if she gets very comfortable and she comes out of thinking mode and she bumps me, she'll see Michael right away and then goes right back into thinking mode, and we can just go right to picking her up and put her right back in her enclosure. So it's all about paying attention to them, but they're nothing to be afraid of. Just like any other snake, just like you do with a ball python, you pay attention to the body language, you pay attention to their food response, you pay attention to if this is a good day or a bad day for them. Retics have good days and bad days, and typically going into shed is not a good day. And you know, don't overfeed these animals. They don't need to eat like pigs to be healthy snakes. Right now, the ones that I feed, the larger rabbits, which is anywhere between an 8 to 10 pound rabbit, most of the time, I only feed them every 3 weeks to a month. And most of the time, I push that to the month unless I notice that they become very, very active at night and looking for food. It takes them literally about a good 10 days to digest that rabbit. So at this size, we do feed her once a week. If let's say a ball python doesn't eat, we might feed her twice a week because she's a garbage disposal. But outside of that, that's what we'll do until she goes into larger prey. Then it'll be every 2 weeks, and then normally for my patterns, it went from every 2 weeks depending on the prey, and then straight to the rabbits. And that's, you know, like I said, every 3 weeks, once a month. More once a month than 3 weeks ever. So there you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing my babies, all of them at once, because that's something that typically I don't get a chance to do. But I'm gonna leave y'all with that one. Again, happy Father's Day to everyone who is a father, and I hope you enjoyed. I'm wearing my daddy's girl shirt. My daddy actually bought me this shirt way back like 30 years ago, and I still can wear it and still have it. And I wear it typically on Father's Day in memory of him, because I was truly a daddy's girl, and I love you, Daddy. That's it. Everybody enjoy your day. Peace.